What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Panda here. Today we're going to talk about something a little more mid-game to end-game, I guess, but it is something that is important for new players as well, because you really need to stay on top of what we're talking about today. And you'll see above me that we are going to be talking about the Great Hall and, in perspective, Arena. If you don't already know, there is a game mode in this game that's called the Arena. There are two sections of it. We're going to be talking about Classic Arena over here on the left, where you have a defensive team of up to 4 units and an offensive team of up to 4 units, where you'll fight an opponent's defensive team of up to 4 units. And if you win, you get these rewards here. Sorry, these rewards here. So you'll get some of these tokens up here, some of these Magisteel bars for crafting, and also some Classic Arena points to raise up your ranking amongst all the other players in Arena. And the most important thing we're talking about is going to be these medals up here. We have bronze, silver, and gold medals. And you get these respectively based on where you are. And you can actually see this if you come here to tiers. You can see what you actually get per battle. So you'll get one for bronze 1 and bronze 2, and that's the bronze medals. For bronze 3 and bronze 4, you'll get 2 of those bronze medals. For silver 1, you get 1. For 2 and 3, you get 2, and so on and so forth, all the way up to a maximum of 5 if you are in platinum, and this is of the gold medals. The important thing really is trying your best to get as high as possible for as long as possible, where you're still able to actually beat the people that you are having show up. So there's a couple strategies to this. The first strategy is having a one-man defense. You'll see here that I just have my Prince Kymar in my defensive slot. This means that when you get to certain levels, you're going to be dropping down overall periodically, which means that you'll be able to continuously fight the people that you are wanting to fight. So you're always able to use up your resource, these medals up here, because they do generate throughout the day. If you're sitting at 10 of 10, you don't get any. So the biggest thing is being able to hit the people that you can fight. The next thing is being as high as possible. So you'll see here that I'm sitting in gold 4. I can push to gold 5, but typically I bounce between middle of gold 4 to the lower end of gold 5. Either one of them is fine, as we saw here. Whoops. As we saw here, they give the same rewards. So we don't really, I mean, they give more Magisteel and you get a little bit more of a boost to your champions, but it's not really that big of a deal. It's just the same amount of gold medals, which is what we really care about. Now, these medals are important for several things. One, there are missions that require you to use these medals for certain content. Specifically in the Great Hall, you'll have to get certain things done. So one of the things it will require you to do is to get 1 in all of your basic attacks. So you'll have to get 1 in magic, 1 in spirit, and 1 in force. And then you'll have to get, I want to say it's 3 to level 5. And then after that, you'll have to get 1 to level, I believe, 7, 9, and 10, I think. It might just be 7 and 10. I'm not 100% positive, but your goal should be to get 1 thing to level 10. Then once you get that 1 thing to level 10, you can diversify. As you'll see here, when I started out, I made a little bit of a mistake because I was doing clan v clan, and in CVC you get points for using these medals, and so I went through and made all of my stuff level 1. So I made a small minor mistake, but it's really not that big of a mistake. But highly recommend that you pick something and you stick with it. So you'll see here that I went ahead and took my magic accuracy to level 10, and I'm going to explain how you want to select this option. When I first started the game, my main champions that I was using was Elenarl, Kymar, Venomage, and Jarrig. They were like my top 4 units when I first started the game, and that is why I chose to go with magic accuracy, because all 4 of these champions are magic, and all 4 of them rely on landing debuffs. So Elenarl has the HP burn on A1 and the poisons on A2. Kymar has poisons on A1 and a sleep and strip on A2. Venomage has an attack and defense down and a heal reduction and poisons on her A2 and 3. And then Jarek has a very important decreased attack on A1. And so because of this, it just made sense for me to focus hard on magic accuracy. And you'll see that this gives a large amount of accuracy. You get 80 accuracy. And if I go and look at my Elenaro, you'll see that she's at 322 accuracy, and 80 of that, a good chunk of that, is coming from my Great Hall. So you'll see that these give a lot of stats. If we go, I'm now focusing more on some attack and crit damage stats. For my Genbo, who's my current arena nuker, and I'm not sure if this is the right way to go, but I'm wanting to push him up higher. So you'll see here that I'm getting 113 attack and 12% crit damage from my Great Hall Mastery, so he's just dealing a touch more damage, which is making it slightly easier for me to nuke other arena teams. And so that's kind of why I'm focusing on that right now. But the main things that a lot of people recommend is to focus on accuracy for one or several of your different factions, or different why am I blanking out on what these are called, the different colors, the blue, the force magic, the affinities. There we go. I had a brain fart. Picking an accuracy for one of those, and kind of sticking with that to level 10, and then kind of focusing on getting them all leveled up slowly but surely over time. So what I've basically decided is I'm going to be taking, and this was actually an accident, but I'm going to be picking one and taking it to level 5, and then moving on to another one, taking that one to level 5, and so on and so forth. And I'm only going to be doing this during Clan v Clan because it does give points. Now, this is not super important if you're not in a competitive clan. I'm not in a super competitive clan, but we do have a 100k minimum, which you'll see here. I just barely broke over that minimum in this current Clan v Clan, and I was able to do that by using my gold medals and pushing these up. And of course, it also gives me some extra stats for some of my characters. So Clan v Clan is not super important for this, but it is something to keep in mind if you are a mid-game, late-game player, and you are playing in a clan that is serious. It does give points, so highly recommend to save them for Clan v Clan, because it doesn't really hurt you to not use them outside of Clan v Clan. So it's just kind of a smart thing to do, is you know, double down and get some extra resources as you're pushing through. But the important thing here is to make sure you're staying on top of your arena, getting your medals, and using them appropriately. So don't do what I did and go and level everything to level 1 because you only have so many, you only have a little amount of medals, and that next one looks so far away. Like, you'll look here and it's like, oh, that's 700 gold medals, I only have 5. Oh, but if I come here, oh, I only need, you know, 37 of the gold medals, and I can use my 2 bronze medals. Oh, that's way cheaper. Let me just do that. And it's tempting to do that, but don't do that. Hard focus on this, because getting to Arbiter is a huge milestone for an account. You'll see here that I am holding on to my Arbiter. I hit it, I want to say about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. I don't remember exactly when I hit it, but I hit it relatively recently, and I've been holding it specifically for a champion chase tournament. But it's a very huge milestone for an account, and in order to do that, you have to get one thing in your guild hall to level 10. So definitely focus on doing your arenas. And that's what I want to talk about next, is kind of like, what do you do in your arena team? And for me, I think it's pretty basic. There are a couple different types. There's go first, go second, and that's pretty much it. That's the main thing. And I would say the third one is maybe like just using what you have, and that's more for early games. So you'll see here that I'm using what's considered a go first team, which is I'm using an arena speed leader. Obviously, not everyone has Kymar. There are other ones you can use, such as Gorgorab. If you got Mighty Ugo, he has a base speed lead, but any speed lead that works either everywhere or in the arena is one of the best things to do. Then you want to use someone who does a turn meter increase, so that's my Seeker here. He also does another role, which is applying attack buff. This is highly recommended. And then you have a third unit, or I guess another, it can be the same unit. Like here I have turn meter and attack buff, and here we have defense down and attack buff. So we have 2 attack buffs. It's a little overlap, but not the end of the world. And then you have your big nuke, which is my Genbo here. So there are a lot of people that work. For most of you, it's probably going to be your first one. So we're going to go ahead and hop over here. This is the referral account. Let me fix this. If we go to the referral account, you'll see here that I forgot to put it on the arena screen, my bad. But you'll see here that I'm kind of just using what I have. Your first nuke is going to be your starter champion. So you'll see here that my main nuke is my Kale, and I'm just kind of using the champions that I have in order to do this. So I have my main nuke here with Kale, and then I have an Ultimate Death Knight because you get him for free, and he has a pretty decent skill kit for PvP with this attack down and this fear on legendary champions, and the shield and continuous heal just makes it nice. Then I go ahead and pair him with my Farak and the Fat that I pulled in one of the last videos because he has this really good buff here that also does a ally attack. So ultimately you kind of start with just a throw together of teams that consists of your Kale, Elhain, or Aethel, your starter, probably your UDK if you've started recently or start in the next few weeks, maybe a Deliana if you started back when Deliana was around, or whatever champions you happen to pull, like my Farak and the Fat and my Aethar. So you kind of just use whatever you have, and you just try to push as much as you can. You'll see here I'm sitting in Silver 2, pushing towards Silver 3. And that's kind of where I'm going to sit for a while. I just don't really have a strong team for PvP. It's just kind of a throw together team. But ultimately, the goal here is just to kind of stay on top of doing your arena, using all of these, making sure you do your dailies, coming in here and grabbing... I don't remember where it is. It's one of these. You grab and you get the 5 arena tokens. And, you know, you also come over here and you grab this and you use these as often as possible. So you'll see here, I have 8 hours for this one. So I'll use this as soon as I wake up in the morning. And then I'll use this one, and then I'll use this one, etc. So you want to make sure you're keeping up and you're using these as often as possible. And that's kind of like the main goal of doing this. But that is the basis of the video. I hope this is kind of helpful, a little self-explanatory, but something I wanted to really bring ahead, because like I said, I made this mistake at the start where I kind of just went everywhere, and I don't want you guys to make that mistake because it did delay my Arbiter, not by an incredible amount of time, but for a little bit of time. So definitely make sure you focus on just one thing. I highly recommend going for accuracy. I think this is probably one of the best options. Accuracy magic is probably the best one, I think, overall, because your main starter champion is probably Kale, and so going for this accuracy is going to help him land his poisons. It's going to make it so you're not as gear intensive in the early game, but realistically it kind of depends on what you get. If you pull a bunch of spirit units, then there you go, focus something in spirit. If you pull a bunch of force units, same thing, right? But that's going to be it for me today, guys. I hope this was helpful. If it was, make sure to hit that like button and leave a comment down below on what was your first level 10. And if you already have all your level 10s, what do you do now? I don't think gold medals are useful for anything. Maybe one day they'll implement a shop or something. I've seen people with 30, 40, 50,000 of these gold medals because their guild hall is capped. But anyways, that's it for me, guys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel to see more content from me. I really appreciate it. Have a good night. Peace.